Hi everyone, this is the Incept CONNECT Podcast. I am John Osberg of Incept Digital. We are here in downtown Buffalo, New York, and today I am joined by a friend, a former colleague, and actually a client as well, someone that is doing some great things in the commercial real estate game and other places as well, and that's Tommy Volpe of Reed's Jewelers. Tommy, welcome to the show.
For having me on.
Welcome back, man.
Yeah, it's great to be back.
Yeah, we were just catching up, 20-25 minutes before this, before I even started recording, and thanks for the coffee as well. Cheers.
No problem.
Appreciate that.
Cheers.
Little decaf action to kind of keep us going, even though there's nothing in there. So, Tommy, you used to work with Incept. Mm-hmm. Now you're a client. Mm-hmm. We appreciate your business, that's for sure, the partnership. For those that are watching and listening, maybe a little bit about yourself to start us off.
Yeah, so I obviously started in the marketing world working at Incept. Ended up leaving because the agency world wasn't for me, and I wanted to test that a final time, right? And so I ended up getting a job in the marketing department of Reed's Jewelers, actually. Yeah. And then I learned it wasn't for me, right? I'd always wanted to be in real estate, like we had talked about a while ago, a long time ago. So, I left. I went to a real estate development company. Didn't love that exact place. The strategies didn't line up, right? Like they were very heavily in commercial. I'm a big residential fan. So I had a great relationship with Jeff, the owner of Reed's, and had complained to him a little too much, I think. And they ended up bringing me back. So now I'm the director of real estate development at Reed's Jewelers. So that encompasses a lot of stuff. So if we're like redoing stores at one of the Reed stores, I'm heavily involved in that. We do own some pawn shops in Buffalo and in the South. So if we're looking to grow locations there, which we are, I'm heavily involved in that. And then also commercial and residential, just investment as well, which we're looking to add to our portfolio.
Beautiful. So, and your formal footprint reaches where for our watchers and listeners in terms of Reed's, Jewelers, Gens Decor, all that? What are some of the places that they'd be able to find?
Yeah, so we've got a bunch of Reed's locations. We stretch all the way from Duxbury, Massachusetts. Beautiful up there. You should get up there. Into Buffalo, into Syracuse, Rochester as well. And then our pawn shops, we have some in West Virginia right now. Cool deal. And again, off air, the whole intent, I forgot kind of to share in the beginning, the whole intent of this podcast is to talk about the intersection, obviously, like we said, between community and commerce, right? How do we build community so that, there's a catalyst, not a catalyst, but the output of like building business. So, by networking, by doing the right thing, by serving, that's a lot of what we talk about on this show. And I know you shared some things off air, I say, but some really cool things that Reed's has been involved in. I know a lot of it is kind of in discretion because there's, a bit of humility, I think, from your leader, just like Mike Davern here too. So just a hearty kudos and gratitude for, what is it, over 100 years of being in business, right? Over 100 years. I think we're up to over 112 now, which is really impressive in multiple generations, which is really fascinating. Just amazing. And all around great people. Sometimes when businesses get passed down through generations, some of them get a little arrogant. That didn't happen here. They're just an all-around great family.
Great family. And we appreciate working with you too, just kind of call back to that, doing some of the work that we're doing with Incept, and it's been fun working with you and your counterpart Ashley, and it's an exciting time, but I think something you alluded to too is that there's might be some challenges coming. Curious to learn what some of the things that you're doing promotionally, marketing, any of that stuff that would be kind of maybe addressing some of what we economists think where we're going. I'm curious to learn more about that.
Yeah, 100%. So we are positioned in a really neat way to deal with an economic downturn. So like COVID, for example, it screwed a lot of people. Yeah. We own all our stores outright, which is really cool. So we didn't have a rent payment, we didn't have a mortgage payment. Beautiful. All we had taxes, so it protected us really, really well in that downturn. We are in consumer discretionary, so when the economy gets hit, it hurts us, but we've been through it before. That's what we get through being through 112 years of business. We've seen a lot of it. So whether it's scaling back marketing budget or shifting marketing budget to a right place, right? So like relying more on our actual customers and putting money towards SEO so that we can show up more when someone's actually searching. And just making smart investments as well, right? Like when we're buying stones, making sure we're buying only the best ones, making sure we're buying them at the right time. And on the real estate side, same with that. Make sure we're buying them correctly, where if rents drop 30%, we're still going to be okay. We're still going to be able to meet our debt service and stuff like that. So just being able to have that experience and have a leader like Jeff has helped us through all these economic downturns, and it will continue to, which
Beautiful.
is neat to see.
And so stepping back a little bit, I sit here as someone who, I know a little bit about jewelry and have been into some of your stores in the past for Mother's Day gift or something. But it wasn't until maybe we revisited conversation where we were kind of talking about, Incept to REITs, that I learned that there was a pretty significant, commercial real estate piece. Can you talk to more about that and your role in that world and some of the growth that you're seeing?
Yeah, 100%. So in the commercial real estate side, like I said, we own all our stores, and then we have an investment portfolio on top of that. It's important for us because it obviously has a different revenue piece. But for us, we're looking to grow that investment portfolio right now. It's not as big as we'd like it to be, and we want it to encompass more pawn stores in the South. And then we also want it to encompass just general investment, right? Because it's part of the industry we're in. It's where the company is headed. We'd like to grow that side. So we're looking for commercial stuff. We're looking for not primarily office. We're looking for retail investment type stuff. I think the market is in shambles in the commercial office space. I wouldn't touch it personally, and I'm a young guy, and I still wouldn't touch it because then I got the time to wait it out too. Retail, I'm really interested in because obviously we can do triple net leases, so we can make all our money back on a lot of expenses, and then there's always room for retail, even in a bad economy. Right now, with everyone working from home, office to me is really sketchy. What you're reading in the Wall Street Journal is a lot of people in New York are actually purchasing office buildings and spending the money to convert them to residential.
That's what I was just going to say. Yeah.
So
fascinating.
That's a little notion on where that market's going.
That's fascinating. Yeah. Wow. And so jumping around a little bit, but there's been some growth. There's some exciting things that are happening. I know maybe we'll get to it a little later in the chat because we got pretty intentional before even shooting this. Here we sit, it's still summertime, looking and being opportunistic in looking a few months out. I know there's some things that are coming up in September and October for you, which we'll get to. Before we get there though, we touched on, I mentioned community briefly in the beginning. Just even from an individual perspective, I know you've done some things in nonprofit, and again, even of course, REITs is very philanthropic and generous. Just curious to get your take on what community building, network building, that kind of thing, how that's helped you get to this place in your career where you started here, like you mentioned, kind of at the beginning. Incept, we were talking a little off air. We probably too bad we weren't recording that because it was a cool kind of playback to how you actually met Mike Devin, our CEO, and then how you kind of worked your way through your career to get to now this place where, and kudos too, man, at a really young age, to have gotten to a place where it's like, this is it. And I'm excited. I mean, there's people out there that are 30s, 40s, 50s that are like, is this, am I really in the right place? So for you to be where you are and to be there as soon as you are is exciting. So, but back to that question then, how do you view kind of the community building, the networking piece into how that then can help catalyze the building of business? Yeah,
it's really important. And it's so funny because networking to me was always like a word, you know what
business
I'm saying?
Cards, here.
It was always kind of gross. And even in Incept, when I was heavy in the sales part, it was like that. Now that I found out what I want to do, and that I'm in that space, it's incredible how it's not networking anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
it's all just relationship based. Now that my career and life are pretty much completely aligned, whenever I'm talking to someone, I'm always mentioning real estate and what we're looking for. Or if I meet somebody on the street, right? Like my dad's neighbor was looking to propose to his girlfriend. I'm like, you should consider REITs. Why the heck not, man?
Yeah.
So that was really interesting. There was also something Jeff taught me about the networking side, which really stuck in my head, and it was don't network, make friends. Right?
Someone just said this. Who was it I just had on the show? Not to interrupt you. Oh no, who was that? I was in a conversation with someone. That dude, that is, that's beautiful. Sorry, continue.
I've always enjoyed being the guy that can connect somebody or introduce somebody to create a relationship. Right? It's so much fun to do.
It is. Plant those seeds.
Yeah, exactly. So now, being able to go about life, like that is really cool, and it's a cool way to look at the community. It helps me be more active in the community. I feel like I can just be a better part of society that way.
I love that. I mean, just to fuse the two in a sense, right? Where I know Elon Musk has become a source of controversy from a lot of people,
And
but
a source
before
of comedy.
and comedy, but before he even got to that point, even years ago, I mean, maybe it's been going on, but I remember just finding motivational videos about him and involving him, and I just remember him talking about like, you should be, if you found the right thing to do in life, you should be thinking of it even when you're not at work, right? Or in work mode. It's just something that comes up. It's natural. And I can say that for Mike. He was out in Ellicottville last weekend with his wife, and they bumped into a couple people, and maybe there were some mutuals I think they were shared, and then they started talking shop because it's just something that's aligned in your life. So to do that, I think is really at that point in your life where I always subscribe to that. If you're good enough, you're old enough. I don't like the whole like, oh, you're only 25 or 27 or whatever. Like, get some more gray in your beard. I'm not a fan of that mindset. But like for you to get to that place where you are now and have it fused, I mean, that's how real greatness, in my opinion, catalyzes. So pretty exciting.
It's funny you say that too, because that age thing is something I've totally dealt with.
Me too.
In my life, and it's frustrating because I wish people would ask me more questions. Be curious,
Than an arbitrary number like, well, you're only at 25, like you can know everything, but if you're 25, you're kind of, there's some discrediting that gets there because of that number when they like to say age is just a number. So good stuff there in terms of just like, I love that too. It's so funny. I heard that for the first time like a week ago. I don't know how, because I love to network and build relationships and connect people and companies and causes. For me to hear that twice in less than a week is exciting. So that's what's going to be the lead into the podcast that when we share it, and we're targeting for October 5th to be exact. That'll be the top, the quote, don't network, make friends, and then dash Tommy Volpe. So that's what we're going to lead with. You talk about having, it sounds like a bit of a mentor in Jeff, right? And your CEO. Mentorship's so important. I've talked about it, whether it's on this podcast or other places. In that, being a mentee of someone that accomplished and distinguished and just someone who's catalyzed so much growth, what are some things you already kind of hit one of them, right? Don't network, make friends, but what are maybe one or two other things that you would impart to our audience that could be helpful to them that you learned from Jeff?
It's funny, having a mentor like Jeff makes me realize how unwise I am, and it humbles me a little bit.
He's got more years on
my 25-year-old arrogance. But one of the biggest things that he's been trying to teach me and is teaching me is patience. And I'm in the industry of patience. So something he always says is your 20s are for learning, your 30s are for implementing, your 40s are for fixing everything you fucked up and you screwed up in your 20s and your 30s, and then your 50s and 60s are for reaping those rewards. Sure. I'd like to move that timeline up a little bit. And I think I can, right, with how we're positioned in real estate, but that's one of the biggest things he's been teaching me is patience, relationships, and just being a good person, because he's a shopkeeper, Reed's Jewelers. Obviously we're jewelers. His business is purely built on relationships.
Right. Experience.
We could spend all the marketing dollars we want to. It is all on relationships and experience.
And just recently, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And just to call back to that, I remember forwarding you, because we, as working with you and being your marketing team, or maybe one of the teams you work with, I keep getting those pings for the 5-star reviews you guys are getting, and they're cool to see. Like, they get right in my inbox. Another review left for Reeds, and just the experience. That, again, it goes back. It's relationships, and relationships are close, kind of relative, if you will, to experience, right? If you're going to have a good experience, you're likely to build a good relationship, and vice versa, or kind of back and forth. So, you are in the relationship, the people, the trust business, right? Good quality products,
and that's everybody throughout the company. Those 5-star reviews are all on our store associates, and that's not something that's taught.
It's not easy to do, to have all at the associate level, have people that are delivering that kind of service these days too. We
only hire people that care about people. You know what I'm saying? So it's a really, really cool company, and it's so cool that it's not forced. It's just how we are. Like, our associates don't work on commission, which is really, really interesting in jewelry, but they're that good. They just care about people.
And that's a kind of not a disincentive, but just there's a good way then to make sure that the service is being provided. That's like, this is exactly, not because it's like, oh, I got to make goal and get that next 20K before before tomorrow. So I'm going to really push this, even though it doesn't really fit for this client's preferences. And kudos to you guys too. I know this is like a love fest in a way, but it's just one thing too that I learned, I'd call back to my dad, is, when you see greatness, give gratitude, give thanks, call it out, recognize it, because there's a power to that, and then find ways in your own life to kind of implement that same thing. So kudos. But I was just going to say, knowing what's out there right now, knowing everything that's going on, I talk to a lot of business owners. We've got a lot of clients that you hear kind of some of the exciting things, but also challenges and pains, if you will. A lot of it's people. Yeah. So for you to have a team of people that are just rock solid, that are delivering great service, it says a lot about the brand. And that's why we're here to talk. We're here to talk about brand, we're here about business and community, and there's a community even within your business of the people as your family. It sounds kind of cliche and cheesy, but it's true. It is.
It's cool, and we get to build a community each time we sell something. When we sell engagement rings, we're a part of those person's story, which is really neat. Neat to be a part of. So,
dude, I've not even thought of it like that. I was just gonna make a joke. You guys sell like big gold chains? Maybe I'll come bring that back. That come into the store.
Some of the athletes,
yeah. I remember, when I was in my younger years, probably around, we're not far apart, but when I was maybe in my early 20s, maybe mid 20s, I used to like the timepieces.
Yep.
Now I just have this one timepiece that is it's a sport watch that tells me all the stuff. But I remember going in there. I have vendor reads. Like I literally have, not just saying it for the show. And it was fantastic. I remember getting my mom something for Mother's Day, and maybe at the time for a significant other. But good stuff. Let's see here. So we've covered a lot already. It's exciting to learn about the things that are happening. Maybe let's hit those promos so that those that are watching that, this fall and even the holiday season, if there's anything you wanted to mention that people can kind of, have a call to action, if you will, which we will have in the show notes. Anything we talk about coming up here, they'll already be there for to click. So what's coming up?
Yeah. So on the Reed side, October is a wedding event, right? So we have a huge promotion on engagement rings and wedding bands specifically.
Cool.
What those are right now, I sadly don't have ironed out, because we are a couple of months away from it at recording, but we do a huge promo and we do a ton of marketing behind it. So stay on the lookout for that. That's huge. If you're currently engaged and looking to purchase your wedding bands, you don't have to purchased the engagement ring from Reed's. Or if you're going to propose during proposal season, this is the perfect time to start to shore up and get that ring, because we do run some pretty awesome promotions on it. And then in November, we do a diamond event, which is specifically for the loose diamond. So that's a lot of times if people have like settings that they're bringing in and looking to get a new diamond. We shave prices on that. We give special incentives for getting a new setting. Right. If you pick a diamond, you get an incentive on a setting, and then you get an incentive on the band as well. And then hopping into holiday, we do some random promotions throughout there, but we have the best jewelry in the city. So, and I'm not just saying that because I work there. Everything is manufactured here in Buffalo, New York. So it's incredible stuff, and it's family made, family run. So if you're looking for some jewelry for mom or for the sweet one during holiday season, I would recommend Reed's.
Buy local. Let's go. Yeah. Well said. Well, good kind of, not to say it's a pitch, but good, just polished, really well said. And at the time of this being posted, we will have more clarity on it. So that's the high level, but come promo time, when I'm putting this all together, we'll have those whatever links are available.
Yeah, and people can go to the website and sign up for emails,
and they can reach out to you.
Yep, and if people
and your team,
100%. And if they want to sign up for emails, go to the website. You can hit me up on LinkedIn if anyone has any questions. So in
the show notes, So your website too. What do we?
That is reedsjewelers.com.
Okay,
reedsjewelers.com, and then I'm Tommy Volpe on LinkedIn.
That's it. That's what's up. All right. Well, fun to have you back in studio. It's been probably a good year and a half since you've been on the team, but good to be reconnected. It's fun to have you in here and be working with you in like the digital marketing landscape and exciting things, man. And I love, just to call back one last time, just that community that not only are you building inside with this community of people, this team, but then like you said, like you have that major purchase or whatever it might be, something that's really meaningful and memorable as part of like a significant life kind of milestone or event. That's why you see those 5-star reviews, is because you are in effect building community by having that great experience. 100%. And it's a big thing. You're not just going in there to buy a coffee.
It's a big decision.
Yeah. So kudos to you guys. You know where to find Tommy. Another great conversation, and just appreciate you coming out.
Yeah,
thanks Tommy. Good.
Appreciate it.
So that's another of course episode of the Incept Connect podcast. We appreciate you watching. We'll see you on the next show.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.